Hey there crew, it's Mark, and in today's video, we're going to be setting up 3 different ideas for vertical weeklies inside of your bullet journal. We'll be using a bunch of different materials and planning out the pages. Let's go ahead and get started now with this weekly spread, which I've already sketched out. This is going to be for a 4-day work week. Whether you have a holiday on a Monday or a Friday, this will be perfectly set up so that you can capture everything that you need, weekly overviews for tasks as well as notes, and also capacity planning for myself at work. To make this nice and easy, we're gonna go ahead and use some stickers. I just recently updated my sticker storage. I'll drop the link up and in the descriptions for you below to check that out if you want. But I have these awesome camper stickers from Pipsticks. I got these during Go Wild and I've been holding on to them for a minute, and I thought this would work out perfectly. So what I'm going to do is take one of these smaller ones here and we'll go ahead and place them across the top. Now for my pen this week, I'm going to be using the brand new Tom Studio Ren. This is an amazing writing pen. It works very similarly to the Tom Studio Lumos, which you may have seen as well. These are the pens where you can fill up the ink reservoir with fountain pen ink, but use them as a fine liner, or in this case for the Ren, you can use this as a writing pen and it writes forever. I think somewhere it said like 330 meters. You're gonna fill this up and you're gonna use it for a while. And I'll put the links for this down in the descriptions for you too if you want to check this one out. So let's go ahead and first start out this page before we lay down any stickers whatsoever. Let's go ahead and just fill out the lines of the page. I've marked everything out in pencil to give me a pretty good idea, but it'll really come to life in just a second once we go ahead and line everything out. Now that we have more of the structure here, I'll take each one of these small little campers and I'm gonna find the center point on each one of these top box areas. This will be for my weekly overview. I also have enough space here to write in the days of the week as well as the date and really any type of other information that I want. A lot of the times in this section, I'm gonna put any type of forward meeting that's going to be going on, a team meeting, something specific that I really need to make sure that I remember is happening on that day. Again, I'm partnering my bullet journal along with my work digital calendar inside of Outlook. So a lot of the times honestly, I'm looking at my bullet journal more than I am my calendar at work. So it's just a good reminder. This is also great for appointments or anything else that you want to make sure that you're capturing that day. I'm going to add one of the other campers over here on the left-hand side just under my weekly because this is where I'm going to be putting my capacity for my team. I have another video that I did that talks all about how to create your own capacity and understand what that number is. I capture this every week, so this is just a staple inside of my weekly spreads. And then I have a few of these small little tree stickers, so I just want to use them. So I'm going to put them on top of some of these lines. I'm going to be using the Ren as my writing pen this week, and I'll also use it for all of these different headers. So we'll start off writing out the days of the week underneath each of these campers. Now, this one is one that started on a Tuesday because this is a Monday holiday and I didn't have to do anything for work. And of course, make that mistake right off the top. So we're going to fix that little mistake here as we go through. Usually just writing over it a second time is the way to go, right? That always solves it. I also have a white gel pen that sometimes works pretty well. Just, doesn't make it look as messy. I'm going to go ahead and just title the section over here for capacity, and then I'm just going to add dots inside of each one of these squares. And what this space will be used for is I'll put the person's name on the team and then their capacity number for the week. And then probably about midweek, I go ahead and transfer this from an analog written form into the digital space where I keep and track all of our capacity as a team. I'm going to have a short, small area over here for to-dos for this week. The size of this should depend on what you're expecting from a task to notes ratio. So this week coming in, I'm expecting that I'm going to have a lot more notes to capture than I am to-dos. We'll see how this all works out by the end of the week and I can size accordingly, and you should do the same, whatever's going to work out for you. For our next vertical layout, we're going to be using some stamps. So these are a stamp set that I got from the Well-Appointed Desk. Got these during the DC Pen Show this year. And look how awesome these fountain pen nibs look. I cannot wait to use them in conjunction with this layout. Now, if you want to draw something in this space, use stickers, whatever you might have, you can do that as well. Now, I picked up this tablet recently because I'm like, you know what? I need a nice, easy way to kind of sketch stuff out for myself. That's just how my brain works. works. So what I'm gonna do is utilize my easy guide that I have in the back of my journal here to set out this page. So I'm going to have 6 total columns. So I know that each is going to be about 11 squares with 2 in between. And what I'll do is I'll just set that up on the left and the right hand side. So I have all of that marked. And over on the right hand side, because I only need 5 days during the week, I'll just do a straight line all the way down and I'll capture all of the tasks just in a huge running list going down the page. I'll go ahead and save the top part of this page over here for all of those weekly things that I'm going to track. So that'll have each of the days of the week, Monday through Friday. Of course, if you need a Saturday, Sunday, you could just utilize that space on the right-hand side with a Saturday, Sunday split. On the lower half of the page, I'm going to capture my capacity planning. Like I said, I do that every single week for my team. I have plenty of space here to capture all of that and to have space for a title. Since we have a large amount of open space and no other trackers or anything that we need to add into our weekly spread here, because the capacity is the only tracker really that I have, all of this open space here is going to be for notes. So that's going to be 4 columns of notes going across the bottom half of my page. So I'm really expecting to jot down a lot of stuff in this week's meetings. So now that we have our general layout, let's talk about how we're going to add these stamps in here. So each of these nibs is going to go across the page, but I want to have a little bit of a visual overlap happening. So we are going to have to plan just a little bit more, take an extra second to make this work. This will be the same process you'll go through if you're adding washi tape here. Again, to give a little dimension to the page, if you're doodling or even just using a different type of stamp. If you're not using anything at all, you don't have to worry about this, but I'm always finding interesting ways to try to make my pages look a bit more interesting. So we'll start on the far left-hand side and we'll go ahead and put down our first stamp. I'm also using the stamp chamois. It's like one of my favorite tools to use whenever using stamps because you just wet it a little bit and you reuse it all the time. And I can easily just clean off my stamps like right as I'm doing it. Otherwise, I'll forget, they'll get dirty. It won't be a good thing. So stamp chamois for the win all the time. So now to get that overlapping effect, the first thing that I'm going to do is go ahead and draw out my first vertical line on the far right-hand side of that column space that I'm giving myself. This is going to let me know how far over to the right I can go before I hit that next square. This is also going to be the line that I use to kind of overlap for the next section. But because I want everything to be visually the same here, I'll go ahead and draw another container box over on the left-hand side of this space. So in our grid spacing guidelines, we left 2 spaces open in between each of these columns so we get a nice even flow across the page. But I'm going to use that gutter space. That's where I'm going to start the next nib stamp that I have here. So before I draw the other line, I'm going to go ahead and press this down on here, and then I'll draw that dividing line between it. This is definitely one of those techniques that you have to see and try before you like really get it. So hopefully I'm explaining it okay for you. It makes sense in my brain, but also like it's coming from my brain. So that's a little bit different. So now that we've done a full one, let's go ahead and fill out the rest of the page. So we'll draw in that right-hand side of our box. That's kind of the ending of this second container. And then we'll utilize this line to go ahead and put the next stamp on top of it. Draw that secondary dividing line for each of the sides on the left and the right. And then we've just continued going across our page with this slightly overlapping looking pattern. Now that we've finished everything out, I can go ahead and just end all of the bottom parts of my containers. I just like to encapsulate everything in there. So drawing those horizontal lines connecting the 2 at the bottom. So for the bottom part here, I'm just going to use the boxes as my containers, but I'm not going to kind of encapsulate them. I'm just going to draw these straight lines down across and just keep all this visual flow going here. The team capacity will be over there on the left-hand side, and then each of these other sections going across here will all have notes. Since we already have all of our stamping materials out, let's go ahead and continue to use these. So I have these stamps from Everyday Explorers Co. My favorite stamps, hands down. I cannot not use these. And what I love about this set over here is it actually has really tiny little text as a stamp, and they print so well for notes and notes to self, to and from, all the good stuff on here. I'll also link these stamp sets if they're available on the site. Hopefully they are. She sells out so fast and then she will restock, but they'll all be down in the descriptions for you to check those out. The first thing we'll do is go ahead and put all of the days of the week down here first using these small stamps. They are so tiny. I don't even think I could write this small, and they just look so nice. I think it's the detail, this fine line detail of these nibs matched with like the finer line of each of the days of the week, the font that's on those that I like so much. We'll use the same size font, the one that says a quick note, over top each of the sections here for the notes. Now, I think this is probably a little bit overdoing it, putting the title over top of each one of them, but it also just kind of feels weird without them. So I'm just going to make the executive decision. We're just going to add them to each of the columns here. And I know this is all for notes, and I have my to-do list over on the right-hand side, and we're good to go. From a vertical layout perspective, we're covered Monday through Friday. We've got the task on the right-hand side and space for our notes here. I just love the extra little pop of detail on here with the line drawing look of each of those nibs, plus the real thin lines of our containers here. Everything is looking really great. So now let's go ahead and move on to our third and final design idea using more vertical layouts for our weekly spreads inside of our bullet journal. So we'll start off sketching again for this one. So we've got our big double page spread that we're going to do here. And I'm going to give myself a little bit of extra space on this one, a little bit of a different lineup. So I'm going to go ahead and have 4 days of the week on the left-hand side of this spread. And then I'm going to do the 5th day for my Friday just over on like the first third of the right-hand side of this spread. The other 2 spaces over here are just going to be a big, huge area for notes. This layout is going to be great for you if you have a lot of meetings going on in the week, you think you have a very busy one coming up, a bunch of tasks, a bunch of notes, everything's going to fit on here. For this weekly setup, instead of using stamps like we did last time, let's go ahead and try it out with stickers. One of the things I love about stickers, honestly, is that they are just as fun as stamps. They're already colored in. They come in a bunch of different sizes. You can find functional ones, you can find just fun ones, and you don't have to worry about ink or cleaning. They just come off of the page. So I'm going to go ahead and just draw all of my vertical lines across my entire spread here, just while I'm moving in that direction. I always find it to be very efficient use of my time, just doing all verticals first and then coming and following up with those horizontals later. Now that we have all of these in, let's go ahead and lay in some of these stickers. So this is one of these reusable sticker binders that I have, and I've just absolutely loved using this. I've had some sticker sheets that just had a handful of stickers, and instead of just trying to keep them in a different organizer that I have, I've just been putting them in here, and I really like it. These are Eric Small Things, one of my favorite artists. Y'all should know that by now. If you don't, she's amazing. And I have this sticker set that I have here, and I'm just going to alternate these seals with these more like white looking outlines here. Just a little bit of a visual back and forth as we go across these pages. So laying these out will be for each of the days of the week. As we've done so far, you'll see a common thing I do is I'm only really tracking Monday through Friday because this is my work bullet journal. But if you wanted to add a Saturday and a Sunday in there, you could just follow that across your grid. Same setup as we did before. You would just have those extra days. I am going to use some stamps just because I have to try to use these as much as possible. I put off buying these Sambi letters for a really long time. I thought, am I going to really use them? And the answer to that is yes, because once I got them, I have not stopped using them in all different types of ways. So what's cool about these stamps is each letter is individual, but they clip together. And so everything is in a nice straight line for you. So you can put that down on top of your ink pad and then put it on top of your page, clean it off real quick. And then I can't help myself. I have to put them right back in their ABC order before I move on to the next letter. It's better this way, trust me. So let's go ahead and grab each of the other days of the week. We'll spell them out, just the first 3 letters, and go all the way across our page. The only bad thing about these stamps is that there's only one of each letter. So if you want to write something like tasks, where there's 2 S's, you can't really spell that out easily and clip them all together. So what I'm going to do instead is I'm going to go ahead and use some fountain pen ink, also because I told myself I was going to use fountain pen ink more, and I'm going to go ahead and use this Colorverse, the NGC 1850. This is a beautiful shimmer ink. It has a wonderful like blue-black color to it, just something a little bit different on the page. And we're going to be using this with a Kakamori glass nib, and I'm partnering this with one of my short nib holders. This one is from River City Pen Company. How beautiful is just this whole pairing together just makes me so happy. What I love about the Kakamori glass nibs, first of all, super easy to clean off. You just dip it inside of the ink and write. It also doesn't have like a super thick tip. I think, what are we looking at here? Probably like a 0.34 millimeter pen nib here, so like it's not super thick. And what I want to do on here also is somewhat match the font that we used for those Sambi stamps. So adding some little quick serifs is something easy that I'll go ahead and do towards the end. Right now, I'm just going to focus on the headers for each of these. So over here on the right-hand side, we'll go ahead and just write task one time. That way we're not going to duplicate across. We're saving the real estate here for all of the many tasks that we're expected to have this week. And then we'll also move over to notes over on the right-hand side, writing that header at the top and just leaving all of the space open for the rest of our notes for the week. So we've been able to cover 3 different ideas that you can use right now inside of your bullet journal with a vertical weekly setup. A lot of this is just giving yourself the space for each of the days of the week and finding a fun way to add a theme to it, whether it's stickers or stamps, or maybe you're really great at drawing. You want to add a nice swash of like ink or washi. Really, you can use anything that you want to kind of dress up the page. But of course, the most important part is going to be the different layouts that we're using and how we're utilizing the space on our pages. Now, I'd love to hear from you down in the comment section below what you think about these different layouts, but like this type of video as well. Is the first time that I've done anything like this, where I'm kind of putting a few things together instead of just a single plan with me. I'd love your feedback to see if I could keep doing more of these, and also any other type of ideas that you might have or want to see. Let me know. I cannot wait to do more of these in the future. Hopefully you like them. All right, friends, I'll talk to you later on. Thanks so much for hanging out. See ya.